Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Dawn, and this channel is Dawn Does Keto. This channel is all about my accountability and my personal journey on the ketogenic diet. Thank you so much for joining me today. And honestly, I'm just going to jump right in because I have a lot of things to talk about as far as my struggles and successes for the week. Let me just start off by saying and being completely upfront, it was a very rough week. Tuesday was a pretty normal day. Mike and I took care of Mike's dad, and after work, Mike goes over, he gets his dad up in his wheelchair, and then we go about our evening, whatever we're going to do, if we're going to dash or if we have other things going on. And then he goes back in the evening to get his dad back into bed and to help get him ready for bed. Well, when he went back over on Tuesday night, his dad had just recently, like his mom was getting ready to call, become unresponsive. He was sitting in his wheelchair, slumped over, his eyes were closed. They couldn't get him to wake up. Mike said he was like yelling in his face, shaking him. They couldn't get any response. So of course they called 911 and had an ambulance come and get him and take him to the hospital. He probably got to the hospital around 10 p.m. And of course, Mike wanted me to meet him at the hospital. So I went up there, and the hospital was a complete zoo. They didn't even have bays in the ER for anybody. If anybody who was on a stretcher or brought in was just like, they were lined up in the hallways. The lobby and the waiting area was completely packed, and it ended up being a very, very long night. At some point, probably around 1 a.m., Mike's dad did get into a bay, and we found out for sure that like he was stable and that he was going to be okay. I took Mike home because he had to get up early to go to work on Wednesday. And then I went back to the hospital to sit with his mom. His mom wasn't going to leave. She was going to stay until all the tests came back and they were admitting him and putting him into a room. I brought Mike home, and I hadn't eaten anything. I hadn't had any dinner, and honestly, the stress was getting to me, and I knew it was going to be a long night. So I grabbed a few snacks for myself. I took some peanuts, I took a beef stick, and I took a ratio bar. I stuck those in my purse, put on some warmer clothes because it was cold in the ER and in the waiting area, and headed back to the hospital. Well, we were there all night long. We got home probably around 7 a.m. And I did end up having those snacks in the middle of the night, which I know was not the best decision. I probably should have just fasted. But one, we were bored. Two, we were stressed. So it was an emotional thing that we were dealing with. And I just wanted to eat something. So I tried to make the best decision possible and not eat anything crazy out of a vending machine or something like that. Mike's dad never did get into a room. They had 23 people waiting for beds. And so they were like, it's not going to happen tonight. He will stay here. We're going to try to get him another bed other than just the one that's in the ER because that's super uncomfortable. And Mike's dad has severe bed sores from when he was in a nursing home that we have been working to try to clear up, but he still gets pain from that. So they were working on it, getting him a regular bed into the ER bay, which is where he was going to stay all night. So we finally got home around 7 a.m. At that point, I had been up for almost 24 hours. I was able to lay down and go to sleep, but I didn't sleep for very long. I only slept for about 4 hours. And then I had to get up and start my day. I had things that needed done. I couldn't sleep all day. And I was trying not to get into a cycle where I slept all day and then couldn't go back to sleep on Wednesday night. But Tuesday was really, really rough because I was running on basically very little to eat and very little sleep. So on Wednesday night, Mike said, we were both tired. We didn't want to cook. He said, let's just go out to dinner. So we went to a Mexican restaurant that we like here locally called Crave Cantina. Now, I've talked about this in previous videos, and Crave Cantina is one of those places that I go to that I do not stay on plan. And the reason being is there's just not a lot of options. It's not a traditional Mexican restaurant. They have very unique kind of foods. They do like brisket tacos. They have alligator tail tacos. They have fresh walleye tacos, shrimp tacos, which you can normally get in the chicken and all the other traditional stuff, but you really can't get it in a bowl. If you ask for it without the tortilla, you are getting like a little teeny tiny piece of the meat or whatever it was that they're putting on a tortilla. So it's just one of those places that if we go to, we know we're going off plan. I'm going off plan if we go there. So Wednesday night, I did have an off-plan meal at Crave Cantina. That was probably not the best decision. It was probably based on the fact that I was exhausted, and when you're tired, you feel more hungry. I was stressed out, but I don't feel like I overate. I didn't go into the restaurant and just binge on everything that I could get my hands on. I was very strategic in what I wanted to order, and I tried to just limit myself to that. So that was Wednesday night. Fast forward to Saturday, and Mike and I had decided that I needed to go and look at possibly trading in my car. I leased my car, and you guys know I DoorDash, and because of the miles on it, my car was out of warranty, and that's just something that we don't like to deal with. Not to mention the fact I didn't like this car from the day that we got it. We got this car when there was still a huge car shortage, and it wasn't even the original car that we wanted. We waited for 2 months for the car that we actually wanted, and it never came in, so I basically had to settle for another car. We were also looking to change from one car manufacturer to another, and we weren't able to do that at the time. So we decided now would be the time to do that. We'd been talking about it while we were on vacation. And so Mike's like, when we get back, we got to take care of this. So of course, Saturday was the day that we decided to do that. And you guys all know, first off, going car shopping is stressful. Second off, it takes time. So we got there in the early afternoon hours, and we were there all day long. We actually had a memorial service to go to that evening for a friend that ended at 7 p.m. and we barely got there in time. We got there 20 minutes maybe to spare before it was over. So I bought a new vehicle on Saturday. We went to a memorial service. So here is where we ran into another struggle. We had been at the car dealership all day long. So again, haven't eaten anything. And we get to this memorial service and there is food there. And they're like, guys, we're getting ready to pack up. We have all this extra food, like, please eat. So we go over and look. And of course, there are not a lot of keto friendly options. There are things like cupcakes and cookies and pasta salad and lots of bread options. So what I decided to do was they had little lunch meat sliders, and so I took several of those and of course just pulled the meat off the bread and threw the buns away and had a little bit of mustard with that. And then they had pickles, so I had a few dill pickles, and that's all I had. So that was a struggle, but I also feel like on my part that was a success because I did make good choices. I did not use that as another opportunity to go off plan. Having already had one off plan meal this week, I was determined that I was not going to do that. So I was able to stay on plan for that. So we left the memorial service and we went to the hospital to visit Mike's dad. He is still in the hospital as of right now. We're not exactly sure when he's going to get out. Tomorrow will be a week since he was admitted. And we do know he has a blood infection and a staph infection. And they are also looking at removing, he has a feeding tube that he had from the accident that should have actually been removed already. But we've had some issues going round and round to have that removed. Nothing is easy when somebody is bedridden, and to try to get him out and get him to a surgeon actually has to do it. He's on blood thinners, so he has to be off of his blood thinners. It was just a process. So they've decided that since he's already in the hospital, they're looking at removing that feeding tube. So that just adds another layer to the whole situation. So he is still currently in the hospital, and we're hoping that he will be home soon. He is awake, he's alert, and we're super thrilled about that. And they're taking good care of him. He's in good hands right now. So that is wonderful news. Still causing stress. I'm not gonna lie. It still is a stressful situation. So that brings us to last night. Last night, Mike and I had a date night. We had previously bought tickets for a concert. He found out that Sean Cassidy was going to be here somewhere local a while ago. This was before we were on vacation, and we had already pre-bought tickets. So we decided we were going to have a date night. We were going to go out and have some dinner and then go to the show last night. We went to a place called the Black Iron Grill, and as far as I know, it's just like a local place. We had never been there before. We kind of looked at the menu ahead of time. Of course, you know, they have steaks and things like that, so we're like, that's fine, let's go there. So we went, and I stayed on plan, and I had keto friendly foods, but these are foods that sometimes do cause me inflammation. They had no keto friendly side dishes except a salad. They did have Brussels sprouts, but they were mixed with potatoes. They had things like au gratin potatoes and French fries and baked potatoes. So a lot of options that were not an option for me. So I ended up just getting a double portion of salad, which is keto friendly, but veggies do, and we've talked about this before, sometimes cause me inflammation, especially since I eat less and less of them. I have gotten to the point where I'm more ketovore than keto, and I eat many, many meals that are just meat or eggs or butter. And I forego the veggies a lot anymore. I used to eat a lot more veggies than I eat now. So that being said, when I do have veggies, my gut doesn't handle them necessarily that well because your gut biome changes over time. So I had a double portion of salad last night, which had ranch on it, which is keto friendly, but many of the ranch dressings that you get out at restaurants are made with bad oils. And we all know that. You got to know that going in. So although it is low carb, it will sometimes have a bad seed oil, soybean oil, vegetable oil, something like that. So I'm sure it did. And then I ended up having chicken. I was not wanting steak last night for some reason. It just didn't sound good. So it was 2 grilled chicken breasts. They were tiny, guys. And when I tell you they were tiny, I mean, they were like this big. 2 tiny grilled chicken breasts that had 3, count them, 3 shrimp on top. That was it. And like a Parmesan cheese sauce. That's what was on it. And again, chicken can cause me some inflammation. I didn't feel really bad after dinner last night. Of course, we went to the show. It was wonderful. We had a great time. Anytime you go out to eat, you know it's going to be a bit of a struggle. So again, struggle, yet success, because I try to make the best choice that I can make for myself in the situation. That brings us to this morning where I got up and I weighed in at 173.2. So I gained 0.2 of a pound this week. And guys, I'm completely fine with that. After the week of lack of sleep, because the stress has been an ongoing thing with Mike's dad being in the hospital. And of course, you add on the fact that we went and bought a car and all these things. It wasn't just lack of sleep because I was up all night, but when I get stressed out, I don't sleep well. So it's kind of a snowball effect. So the stress caused lack of sleep. And both of those things can cause inflammation and weight gain. So the fact that I was only up 0.2 of a pound after the collective week that I had, I will take that. Sorry guys, I had to pause the video for 1 second and I had to go check Mike's weight because he told me he left it on the calendar and I completely forgot to look at it before I sat down to do this video. So I just went and peeked and Mike is up 1 pound. He is at 157.4 and last week he was at 156.4. Now Mike did eat off plan last night and so I'm sure that being so close to a weigh-in, I'm sure that played a part in that. Again, I've said this before, Mike does keto probably about 80% of the time, and he does it for health benefits, not for weight loss. So he tends to stray a little bit more than I do. So that's it, guys. That's everything. Just a very quick update. We have a very busy week this week, as always, but we are back on our weekly weigh-ins. So I always want to make sure that I come on here and that I tell you guys about my week. I tell you what my weight is. You guys help keep me accountable and I appreciate that so much. I can tell you that had I not had to make this video and come on here and tell you guys the things that I had eaten all week long, I probably would have had more struggles than I did. I probably would have went off plan more than I did. I cannot stress to you guys enough how much this channel and having all of you guys in my corner helps keep me on the straight and narrow as far as my diet is concerned. I would have had that Wednesday off plan meal anyway. I probably would have eaten some crazy things at the hospital on Tuesday night. I probably would have eaten off plan at the memorial service. And when we went out to eat last night before the concert, I probably would have had something that was not on plan. So I kept telling Mike, I'm like, I have to weigh in the morning. So I have got to make sure I eat as clean as possible. And it honestly, it just keeps me in check. Whether that's good or not, it's what helps me. It's what is helping me on my journey. And again, I just can't thank you guys enough from the bottom of my heart. So that's it for now. We will see you guys in the next video. You guys go have a wonderful week. We love you. Bye.